Okay, so we have our basic shape, and what we want to do now is we want to start to create the slots which we need in order for the cross members of our table to fit into. These right just here. Now you can see there's lots of them. In fact, there are 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're 30 deep, and they are 18 wide. Or slots 18 wide. You see there are 9 equally spaced. And the distance that they're equally spaced over is 1000, except for the fact that the first one starts 40 in from that side, and the last one ends 40 in from that side. So we have a distance, and we have a number of slots of which we know the size. So first thing I'm going to do is set up the correct distance from the edge for the first one to start, and then do the same thing for the place where the last one ends. So take my guideline. This time I took my guideline from my blue axis because there isn't really, well, there is a straight line, but it's easier just to grab it from the blue axis. And I'm going to type 40. And if I go over here and zoom in far enough, you can see there is just the vestige of a straight line there for me to drag a guideline from. Again, I'm going to type 40, and that gives me the starting point and the ending point of the slots that I want to make. Now the slots, let me double check, are 30 deep and 18 wide. So I'm just going to use guidelines to draw the outline of one slot. So a guideline down from there, 30, and a guideline in from here of 18, or at a distance of 18, gives me the size of the slot, which I can then take my pencil tool and draw easily from intersection to that intersection, to that intersection, and then finally to that intersection. Now, a lot of novices at SketchUp would now probably say, well, all I'm going to do now is draw a whole bunch of guidelines along here and then just kind of draw them all in. There is actually no math required whatsoever, no division or anything required in order to create the rest of these slots, because SketchUp has a very clever little feature, and I'm going to show you right now. It's an addition to the Move tool, which, if you know about it, you can put to really good use. So this is what it looks like. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the slot that I've already drawn, because I want 9 copies of this. Now all I want is the lines, so I've just very carefully selected those 3 lines just by clicking and holding down Shift so that I select something other than the first thing that I already selected. And then I'm going to take my Move tool, and you know by now that if I hit the Option key, and that's the control key if you're using a Windows machine, I can move and copy at the same time any object. So I'm going to pick it up by this endpoint because I want to take it along here and snap it onto that intersection right there. So moving and copying, moving it along there and snapping it, making sure we zoom in so we do it accurately, right just there. Okay, so I've moved it, but now I want a number of copies in between. So what I can do now is I can hit the / key, and if you look down in the bottom right corner, you can see what key I'm hitting, / and then I want 8 copies. Okay, I want 9 slots total, but I drew one already, and I want that slot plus 8 copies. So / 8 gives me then a total of 8 copies, equally spaced between the first one and the last one, which I think is a really neat feature of SketchUp. What I can do then is I can go along using my select from right to left function, which selects everything it touches. I can then go along and delete all those bits that I don't need. All right. There it is, folks. Using the move tool and then adding /8 so that I make a copy plus a total of 8 copies evenly spaced in between my first drawn object and my last one. Now, this is also complemented by the function in SketchUp, and I'm just going to do this with another 3D shape. You can do it with anything in SketchUp, where what you can also do is move something and then multiply it by a number of times. So what I just did was I moved and copied by dragging that along there, like that, and then hit /8, which gives me 8 copies of the thing that I copied in between. The other way to do this is, it's very similar, except instead of using the divide symbol, it uses the times symbol, which of course is the X. I can now say, okay, I'm going to move and copy that by, let's call it 80 in this case, hit the enter key and then type times 8. It gives me 8 more copies. Now that's useful in some instances, but most useful for most of the things that I do is the one where you have your initial shape at the beginning, you move it to the end point, and then you use the divide key, in other words the / to add in the number of copies you need in between. Either way, it's a really useful function. Use it, you won't regret it.